welcome. This is going to be a voiceover of all my trips from Duke Jump for the Children week 1 and 2. And I have to say, this was probably one of my worst shows to date. I had a pretty horrific time. I'm going to do it by day, so every day I'll do a little break and a recap at the end of all my voiceovers. So you'll see what I mean. But anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so day 1, here we are starting out. This was Friday the 10th, I think, but I'm not totally sure. We were starting out with a meter class, which is the lowest jumper class that they do with this show. And I've never really shown Leo in the jumpers. He has a lot of experience in the jumpers, but it was all when he was quite a lot younger, so 6 and 7, and he's 9 now, so he hasn't really done it in a while. So here we are coming to the first jump. I really pulled and pushed and just too many signals, not enough leg, and boom, same thing down here. So you can see that we did the add in that line because I was just pulling. You can kind of see that I'm way too in his face. I'm leaning forward and my legs kind of flopping around, which is how you can tell my legs not really on. That jump was actually probably the best jump on course. Coming around here, he stops to this jump because I kind of just leaned forward and he's not super confident in the jumper ring, and with the bad rides that I had given him to jump 1 and 2, with this jump that he wasn't feeling as confident with, he was just she's not gonna make me jump it, and so I don't want to because I'm scared. And I was okay. But this time I gave him a much more confident ride and he got over. You can see I'm just sitting back a little bit more, and that made a huge difference. There, I was also nervous about that because for some reason everyone was stopping at that jump, and I don't know why, but a bunch of people had stops there. That line was okay. I could have ridden it slightly better, but you always say that. And then coming through here, just lack of confidence. I was nervous about jumping into a double on a bad stride. He didn't really want to jump it, and so we did not jump it. Overall, Friday was pretty horrific. I'd say the biggest problems was just I wasn't sitting back. I was pulling on him quite a bit, messing with his face, because to me the pace felt too much, but watching it back, we didn't have enough pace. And then the other thing, which I feel could be helpful for people watching, is sometimes you feel when your horse is spooky and they're going fast, it makes you nervous and you don't want to put your leg on because you're I don't want to go faster. But in that situation, your horse still needs leg, because leg is their reassurance. Leg is telling them you want them to continue, you want them to go forward. So when you're coming at the jump, even if it feels like you have too much pace and you're nervous about it, you know that your horse is spooking. So in that situation, I could feel him really, especially the in and out, I could feel him backing off, but I didn't want to put my leg on because I was nervous that we already had too much pace coming into the in and out. I didn't want to have a bad stride in the in and out because, that could cause problems and everything. So I was just I don't want to put my leg on, but I should have put my leg on because he needed reassurance and I didn't want to give him reassurance because I was worrying about my own stuff. And, y'all, they're horses. They don't know what we want. You have to give them directions. And I know it's hard to remember that, especially for me, but you have to give them directions. They don't know what you want. They don't understand why they're doing this. They don't really want to be doing this. They're doing this for us. And so when we don't tell them what we need, they don't get it. So we have to help them out so that they can help us out, basically. And that's what I learned on Friday. But did I implement that on Saturday? Absolutely not. So let's get into that. Okay, so Saturday already extremely traumatizing. I was having a full mental breakdown in the schooling ring. I don't really want to get into it, but basically my trainer was not at this show because something came up really last minute, so I was with the assistant trainer, who I don't necessarily, our teaching learning styles don't mesh well. I don't know how else to say that, but we don't really get along so well. On a personal level, it's fine, but just on a instructing level, we're just not a great match. So anyway, here we are doing this. I was actually sobbing in the schooling ring, couldn't fix it. We were stopping in the schooling ring and I was just having a whole mentee bee about it. But I eventually just had to get it back together because they were calling me into the ring. So I just went in sobbing. And honestly, this is probably the best trip I had this week. So you can see I kind of stopped talking, but the first 2 jumps are just a bending line, and we came in with honestly not enough pace, but thankfully the distance came up and I'm much more confident over 100 jumps, so I legged him at it. He didn't back off. It was really good. This jump, he backed himself off of it just perfectly so that we weren't too deep into the in and out. We came out with what I felt like was too much pace, but honestly wasn't, so I could have gotten out of his face a little bit to prevent that unhappy vibe he was giving. But other than that, I actually pretty much was happy with this trip. That jump he backed off of really hard, which is why it looked so long. Same with that one. I never have to push him down the lines. He has a huge stride, and that line I really had to push him down, so it was a good thing I was counting. Coming through here, you see him spooking at the out. I was nervous coming to this oxer, but thankfully distance came up and I rode confidently to it. And then this course is really weird. You have to like come back around. Like I thought that was the last jump, but no. You have this jump right here, which thankfully I saw a really great distance to, and I was able to just ride up and chill. I think the reason this course went so much better is because I saw a distance to every jump, and when I see a distance, I'm so much more confident. And also over 100 jumps, I believe in him way more to jump them. I don't know why. I kind of don't like the jumpers. CJ and I had a rough time in the jumpers because he's so green, and so it was just very anxiety inducing for me. So there he is, spooking at something straight out of the gate. This is the meter once again, I think. Yes, this is the meter, the second day of the meter. So we stop at the first jump, and honestly, that was just kind of him testing me to see if I was going to make him jump, because I didn't make him jump the day before. So he was like, I don't really know. I'm kind of unsure. You can see in the jumper, or in the hunter trip that we just did, we had absolutely no stops. Like he wasn't really even thinking about stopping except to that in on the rail, but we're not going to talk about that. But he was basically just testing me. He was asking me like, do I actually have to do this? And I was like, yes, you do. So he did jump the first one. I put my leg on. He was really good for this trip. We came around here. I made that turn perfectly. I'm so happy with it. You can see it just helped the distance come up. I pushed him down this line just a little too much, just overestimated how long the line was going to be set, but, you know, not horrible. Coming through here, I was really nervous, and I did not see a distance, and he saved my ass. Oh my god, he saved me so bad. Any other horse would have done 2 in there, but he knew what he had to do. And then once again here, I didn't really turn him to that. He didn't know where he was going, and he still was like, I got you, girl. We got this. Coming out of here, probably pushed him a little bit past that, but it wasn't terrible. And then here, I just took it too wide and kind of had to push him really hard out of the line to still get the stride, so we had the rail. Coming into here, it was fine. He was just a little amped up, and this was a really, really tight 4. Everybody was having problems in the 4, and he just had that rail, but that's okay. I was kind of expecting that. Coming through here, we made this turn really late, so our jump wasn't great. And then just coming through there, that was pretty good. It was a little bit of an awkward turn, but it had to be. If there's anything you need to learn from that day, it's going to be the importance of your track and your pace, okay? Notice how in the jumpers, he still questioned me like he always does in the jumpers, and he still stopped, but we got over all the jumps, and it's because I clearly told him what I wanted from him. I let him know my expectations when he stopped the first jump, and this doesn't mean you have to beat your horse over the jumps. Come on, y'all. Can we not? Because I saw this lady, I'm not even trying to get into drama right now, but I saw this lady at Duke this weekend, and last weekend actually, and her horses were stopping because she was seeing bad distances. Also, it doesn't matter why they're stopping, but this is especially egregious. Her horses were stopping because she was seeing bad distances, and then she would come back around and beat them over the jump. Like, it's your fault they stopped. They're not spooking. They just were like, we physically can't do what you're asking us to do, so we're gonna not do it. And then she was like, what? Like, girl. Anyway. Back to track and pace. You can see my pace was so much better. So the distances were coming up, so I was more confident. And then even when I wasn't confident, like into that double and I missed, he helped me out because he was like, I know what you're trying to do, because I communicated an expectation to him. And he was like, I know what you're trying to do, and I'm going to help you, because horses like us, generally, they want to help, and we need to tell them how to help us, because that is how we're going to be the most successful. And then also track. This is a really good tip for you if you show, or even if when you're just riding horses that are a little bit bigger or whatever, even if you're just nervous about riding horses, this is so helpful for me. it does not matter how big the jumps are. It does not matter like how fast you're going. If your track is right, like if you're going out into the corner, if your turns are good, you won't miss to the jump. And I don't know if that's actually true or what, but every time I've ever been like, I'm so nervous about this jump, and then I'm like, wait, if I'm nervous, just track and pace. If you have a consistent pace and a good track, and you don't rush your horse at the jump and you don't pull to the jump, you just make your turn and you head at the jump at the same pace you're at, you will find the distance 100% of the time, I'm telling you. And I don't know if that's true, but I believe it. I've proven it to myself, and that is what I believe. So when I go in the show ring and I'm like, these jumps look big, or this is scary, or my horse is spooking, consistent pace, keep your track. Go all the way out into the turns, stay in the ring for as long as you can. You want to use every single corner. You land from the jump and go straight until you hit the wall. Stay on the wall until you need to turn off for the next jump. Like, take your time, girl. There is no one coming to get you. That was Saturday, and now let's get into Sunday. Okay, so Sunday, immediately, I was kind of set up for failure because this is the highest I've ever shown. It was meter 15. And considering that we really weren't getting around, this probably wasn't the best move for me. I mean, you can see we came in and just immediately picked up the wrong stride, and what am I trying to say? The wrong lead. And that is really indicative of we're about to have a bad trip, because anytime that happens, it's just not good. You can see him raising his tail. He's nervous. Coming around here, I just turned him a little too late, which usually wouldn't be a problem. But just with the mentality he was in and with the lack of confidence I had, it was just not the right decision. I was really, really anxious, and he was really anxious. Right here, you can tell we do not have enough pace. We're going way, way too slow. Coming here, I just pulled, and we added an extra stride in. There was one less there, and I just didn't ask him for it. Then he was bucking a little, not bucking, but, just sassy. Made me nervous, and I let him run out at the next jump. We didn't have enough pace. And you only get 2 stops in the jumpers, so I was eliminated. This day, I would just say, was more about, expectations. I didn't expect it to go well, and it didn't. I think when you go in the show ring, it's really important to, believe that you're gonna get over all the jumps, and if you don't believe you're not gonna get over all the jumps, you might not, okay? So, I know it's hard, and I know you want to be pessimistic, or I call it realism. I go in there and I'm like, I want to be realistic. I'm not here to win. I just want to get around. Shut up. You need to go in there and you need to be like, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna get over all the jumps. I'm gonna do everything right. I'm gonna do everything I practiced, because you're not, okay? You might not, but you also might, okay? So, just go for it. And if you really go in there and you believe you're not going to go over anything, horses can read our minds. I really believe that. Horses know what you're thinking. So when you are sitting there I'm not going to get over this jump, the horse is like, oh my gosh, why shouldn't I jump it? And then you're like, oh, this jump's really scary. Your horse is like, oh my gosh, this jump's really scary. Why is it scary? I don't know, I'm scared. Gotta believe in yourself. You gotta be like, yes, I love this oxer, slay. And also, for my delusional girls out there, because I am a delusional girl, if you're worried about the height, okay, think about this. 0.80, it's 2.6, easy peasy, you got that. So then 0.90, it's literally 0.1 of a meter. 0.1 of a meter, you're really scared of that. It's sure, okay, so add that on there. Boom, and then you're doing the 0.90, and then, oh, you're doing the meter? Yeah, okay, the meter is only 0.1 more, and it's only 3.3. The meter's only 3.3, that's 3 foot, basically, because 3 inches is nothing. Then, maybe you add, maybe, now you want to do the meter 20, and that's just 0.2 more of a meter. That's barely anything, you know what I mean? Now you're doing 3.9, it's just it's 9 inches bigger than 3 foot. 9 inches, that's this much. It's fine, you're fine, girl. So that was Sunday. Not a good time. Not a good time, I would say, but can't always have a great day. So anyway, I went back home, and then I came back to the show on Thursday night, and now it's week 2. Okay, so I'm not really sure why this video is in portrait. Is that what it's called? I don't know, whatever. The one where it's not sideways. To be honest, I'm not a fan of it, but don't worry, you won't have to watch this video for too long, because it didn't go that well. So anyway, here we are, coming through here. You can see I'm immediately picking up enough pace because I'm nervous. And I'm like worried about pace and track because that's what I do when I'm nervous. Well, it's what I hope I do when I'm nervous. I just came around here. That jump was actually really good. I rode nice and confident to it, as I should. Slay girl. Sorry, that was so awkward. I hate that I just said that. Anyway, coming through this turn, I actually made this turn pretty well. So according to my trainer, I asked him for one less, but I saw one more. So I think what happened is just I thought I was asking him for one more, but I was so nervous about coming out of the turn with enough pace that I just kept my leg on and the distance wasn't there. Anyway, that jump was pretty good. I just pulled to that one, didn't quite sit back enough. Honestly, that wasn't completely my fault. I think it was just a little bit of him saying, like, you didn't really make me jump the last one. You're not seeing distances. I don't really trust you. So, yeah, as you can probably surmise, I was not a big fan of my performance on Friday. You know, another stop out. I think I actually did another class before that we didn't get on video, and basically the exact same thing happened. He stopped at the in of the double twice. So, you know, not ideal. But, to be honest, I'm not, like, that upset with Friday. I think I was kind of still in, like, a really defeatist mindset from, the Sunday before. So I was kind of just like, we're not gonna get around. The jumpers are scary. I'm scared. I don't want to do this. So he was just like, okay, let's not do it. And that's kind of what happened. So I'm not thrilled with that. I was feeling really, really horrible after Friday. Like, I was super unhappy. So I think setting me up for Saturday, it was just not the greatest. But we got a lot of footage of Saturday, so tune in for that. So here we are coming into this. This is some equitation thing. I can't really remember what it was. I honestly was feeling pretty confident to this jump. I didn't feel like he was going to stop. We had a little less pace than I would have wanted, but he kind of just stopped really early in this corner. And I didn't really know what that was about. You can see me kind of patting him, like showing him the jump, because it's really unlike him to stop at hunter jumps. He kind of had a bad habit when I first got him of just always stopping at the first jump of the course, and then he would go over it no problem immediately after. And I kind of assumed that was what this was, but then he stopped at this jump too. So I was kind of like, what in the world? Like, he just didn't want to jump this jump. So I was like, maybe he just needs to look at it better. So I was letting him look at it. And then I saw his ears kind of flicking back towards me, and usually that means they're like listening to you. So I assumed he was done looking at it, and I was like, not really sure what was going on. You can see through this corner, I rode it a lot more aggressively. Like, I rode a lot more assertive. You can see my elbows kind of sitting out. I'm kind of sitting down a lot more. And honestly, I think he would have jumped that if I had kept my leg on those last two strides, but I just saw the distance was going to be bad. I got really nervous about it, so I didn't want to push it. And that was really just not in his character. I was really kind of concerned. So I went out to the schooling ring. I jumped one more. I kind of talked with my trainer, and he said he also wasn't really sure what was going on, but he thinks that maybe it's because he had been stopping at, like, in that specific area. Like, the in and out from last weekend was right there, and then the jump that he was stopping at in the meter was right there, and he just didn't really want to jump that jump right there, and he was thinking maybe it's because the spectators are there. And it's kind of like the rings at Tryon, if you guys know what I'm talking about, where they can hear the spectators but they can't see them, and he thinks maybe it was just making him a little nervous. And then that combined with the fact that I wasn't riding super great most of the weekend, he thinks he was just kind of testing me a little bit to see what was going on, because he jumped that one just fine. Like, I didn't feel him back off of that one at all. You can see that I'm riding a lot more assertively, and a lot of times people say ride aggressive, but what they really mean is ride assertive, because if you're being aggressive, your horse is probably not going to like it. I rode into that turn pretty well, and so the distance came up really nice, and then he really, really backed off of this out, which caused problems later, as you'll see. But because he backed off at the out so much, I really had to push him, like, down the out and able to get the 5 strides. Right there, that was actually pretty good. I let him get a little too close to it just because I wasn't really sure about the distance. Like, I wasn't really sure about my track. Coming through here, I really rode aggressive. You can see me sit back. You can see me pumping with my body and my arms. It's not always going to be the most attractive thing, but sometimes it's what you got to do. And then we just jumped in with so much pace, and I was expecting him to really back off of the out like he did at the last, related distance that we did, and he didn't. So I did the leave out, which is really bad, guys. Do not do the leave out. Anyway, we jumped the double, and you know, it was okay. I don't love that trip. My trainer didn't love that trip because I did the leave out, and he thinks it's dangerous, which it is dangerous. Guys, don't do it, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But I didn't hear that, you know, I didn't tell you that. You didn't hear that from me. So, anyway, that is what happened with my first junior trip, and I'm okay with that trip. I was actually pretty happy with it, to be honest, because I was happy to get him around. My trainer thinks that it was just kind of an unfortunate combination of him like testing me and being a little nervous, and then also that jump that he was consistently nervous about was the first jump, and he was just not, you know, not feeling it, because he thinks that he would have jumped it the third time, but then I just didn't see a distance, so he stopped. But he thinks that he probably would have jumped it the third time if I had seen a distance coming out of the corner, which isn't really my fault. Like, there's always going to be circumstances that don't allow you to do things. So anyway, this is my second junior trip. This jump I freaking dead missed to it. I'm not sure what happened here. I really thought there was one more there. I don't know why. Maybe I have depth perception problems, but I just thought there was one more stride, and there wasn't. My trainer thinks it's because he'd been backing off, so I expected him to back off, so I rode like he was going to back off, and then he didn't. That jump, he didn't back off of it at all. He jumped it beautifully, and then we did not do the 5 again in the 6. So happy about that, because my trainer would have beaten me up. Just kidding, he would not have beaten me up, but he would have been sad. Now we're coming around to the double. I just pushed him past the out a little bit. I don't know why. We jumped in a little bit long, and I just kept pushing through the double because I was worried he was going to stop, which is, I don't know why. He's never stopped in a double. I don't know what I was so worried about, but anyway. Coming through there, this jump was actually really good every time, and I think it's because I was really using my corner. I did the 6, but he really helped me out because I was about to do the 5 until like 3 strides, and I kind of was able to slow him down a little bit and everything, so that was pretty good. Coming around here, this jump was coming up really nice for me, so I wasn't really nervous about it. I did let him swap right there, but to be honest, that was kind of the least of my worries at this point, so I was actually pretty happy with this day. We were supposed to do the meter again later, but we just scratched because we didn't feel like pushing it too hard. We'd been riding him for a long time because he had been stopping, so, you know, we thought this was probably a good note to end on for the day, and then, because I only had more junior classes tomorrow, so, you know, not wanting to push it and everything, but he was pretty good. I was happy with that. Okay, so Saturday of week 2, you know, it was okay. Like, it's kind of hard because I was really upset initially. Like, coming out of the equitation trip that I did first, I was really upset because I just didn't understand, like, there's no reason for him to be stopping like that. But after like talking to my trainer about it, because my actual trainer came to week 2 instead of just the assistant, and it was a lot better because I just get along with him a lot better, like just instruction wise. After that first trip, I felt horrible. Like, I was so just, I don't know, I felt awful. It was not like him to stop at all. I felt like I kind of like ruined my horse. I don't know, you guys have probably all felt this way, but when you get a horse, like a nice horse, or a horse that's really willing to do stuff, and you have everyone telling you like, oh, that's such a nice horse, he's so sweet, he's so this, and then you can't do stuff on him, or like even like, because for the last year we've never had a problem with stopping. Never. I mean, we've had maybe 3 or 4 stops, and those were just him maybe spooking at something once, and then he'd go over it. And so when I got in the ring on Saturday and he stopped 3 times at the same jump, I couldn't get him over it, the same hunter jump even, I just felt like horrible. Like, I felt like I ruined my horse. I was like, I must have really messed this horse up because there's no reason he should be stopping. And then I was like nervous there was something medically wrong with him. So I was just really feeling just really nervous that I had ruined him, or that he was like having a problem with his back or something like that. I just had no other reason. But then kind of talking to my trainer about it, I kind of realized like, okay, because, you know, you have all this stuff going on in your brain, and it's easy to think that your horse is just like, we're just gonna do this stuff. But your horse is thinking too. Like, your horse is also alive. Like, your horse, like, I feel like I'm pretty good about thinking about that at home, but at shows, for some reason, it just goes out the window. Like, your horse is a living creature, and it's thinking things. Like, your horse can be nervous. It can be worried about things that happened yesterday. It can be feeling anxious. It can be thinking about something completely unrelated. Like, I have a friend who can't do night derbies ever because her horse gets so upset that it's out at nighttime and that it can't like eat its dinner. Like if she has to show at a time that her horse should be eating, her horse is so like preoccupied with thinking about food that it literally can't do the courses. So your horse is always thinking. But I just felt like after I got him around the junior trips, it was really like a relief, because I was like, okay, this wasn't completely my fault, you know, like I kind of got it together a little bit. So now it's Sunday. Honestly, it's been a pretty disastrous 2 weeks leading up to this, so I was really just hoping to get around. To be honest, I didn't really care like how my trips looked. I just like, if I didn't get around, I was gonna freak out because if I had to go home with just a net loss like that, I would be devastated with a capital D. So anyway, here we are coming around. This is my first junior trip. He felt actually really, really good in the warm-up. We barely had to do anything warming up. He did feel a little bit fresh, and we did have to do like a flat class before this where he felt really fresh, and we got dead last in the flat class, which was really awkward. But coming through this turn, like the second I walked in the ring, I could just feel that he was so much more relaxed. And I don't know if that was actually true because he doesn't look more relaxed at all, but I think it made me feel more confident and relaxed. And so I was just riding a lot better. Like you can see I'm riding assertively. I could feel him backing off of that. So I'm sitting back using my elbows. He really helped me out there. I was just not really telling him to back off at all. So we just had a little too much pace coming into that line. Coming into the diagonal, I was really happy with the way I rode in there, and then you can see me sitting back and kind of like just relaxing. Like I'm not pulling on his face the whole time. I don't look anxious. I mean, I do look a little anxious, I do look a little leany, but I always do. Just a little deep into the double, but you know what? That's actually probably better for us because he just has such a big stride. And just like that, the course was over and we saw every distance, and that was actually pretty good. We got 4th in that trip out of, I think, like 10 or something. So I was really, really proud of him and myself for keeping it together, because to be honest with you, after literally day 1 of week 1, I was ready to quit and cry myself to sleep. So I'm really happy that I didn't. This was my handy trip. A lot of people are doing like a crazy turn to the first, and I was just not down for that. He swapped really early. He did want to stop at that jump. I could really feel him backing off of it, but I just kept my leg on, which helped us out a ton. Coming through this turn, I put on just an appropriate amount of leg, and so we jumped in really nicely. I didn't want to get too much of a big stride in here because it was coming around to this really awkward turn to the 2 stride. I'm so grateful that I saw distance in there. I pushed him just a little bit past the out, but I always kind of do that in 2 strides because I'm nervous about him stopping. Made just a nice tidy turn, nothing too crazy to this oxer, and I kept seeing this distance so far out, which was perfect because I was really nervous about dead missing to the single long approach oxer, because that is just what I do sometimes. And then this could have been a lot better, I think. I was happy with the way I jumped in. I think because we had to get the lead change, it made it a little bit harder because he just got a little away from me. So we had to do a little bit of a motorcycle turn to make the turn that I wanted to make, but it's okay. Here I am coming back down to the trot. I'll take this opportunity to acknowledge the fact that this horse has the most beautiful trot jumps I've ever seen in my life. And he really ate that up, but then he got a little excited afterwards, and so we did do kind of like a crazy last in the jump off kind of situation to this last jump, which was not ideal for the hunters, but you know what? It's okay. It worked out, and I'm super happy. Okay, so Sunday, I was actually super happy with. Like, I feel like I did everything to the best of my abilities. He was feeling really good, and it's just how it should be. Like, I feel like I was riding a lot closer to the way I ride at home. Obviously, it's never going to be exactly the same because I'm nervous, which I'm usually not nervous at home, so that's like a big factor, but I was actually quite happy with the way I was riding. I was happy with the way he went, and I was just really happy with the way the trips went. I feel like I got lucky when I needed to get lucky. I rode well when I needed to ride well. Like, I felt like I had a pretty good time. If you don't know what a handy trip is, it's basically like the hunters, but it's a little bit more like the way derbies are judged, where like you want to make tidy turns. The courses are usually a little bit more complicated, and they usually just like ask more of you. But I was really happy with him because I felt like he was nice and handy dandy. To the last, we definitely had kind of a flyer, and we had a huge swap to the first jump. So I think because of that, we placed a little bit lower, but I was actually really thrilled with our handy trip, and we got 6th in it. So yeah, overall pretty good placings, and I felt like he was relaxed and chill. So the horse show as a whole, I would say I wasn't riding my best. Like, the biggest thing that I learned from this show, and like I do this every horse show, I have to learn this lesson, and I'm sick of learning lessons. Like, I just want to start winning, but I understand, gotta go through the struggle or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but the biggest like lesson that I learned at this show was like, you can't let your like mind get in the way of things, because your horse also has a brain, and your horse is also thinking, and when you're thinking and your horse is thinking, it's just too much thinking. So you need to just do things sometimes. And I know that you're nervous, I know that you're anxious, but things are not going to get done unless you do them. Your horse is not going to go in and do the trip on its own. Like, no, you have to tell them what to do, and they want to help you, and they will help you if you tell them what you need help with. Like, that is the biggest thing that I learned from this horse show, and I hope that's the thing that you learned from watching this video. Tell your horse what they need to do. Be assertive, not aggressive, and that's all. You'll get over the jumps, I promise you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something or whatever, and have a lovely Thanksgiving, and thank you for 4,000 subscribers. Sleep tight, girls. That's so weird, I can't say that shit.